April 13th, 1987. It's Woody Herman Day in Minnesota, declared by the governor of Minnesota, Rudy Perpich, and a music scholarship established in his name at the University of Minnesota, the first of its kind, because it deeply involves the world of jazz and the art and the creation and the learning of it. I'm sitting opposite Ron Stout. Ron, what is your schooling and background?
I went to a couple of junior colleges in Southern California, Orange Coast College and Golden West College, and they're both, for junior colleges, they had an excellent jazz program. Not a real, it's not a heavy teaching program, it's a program that allows you to be exposed to good players and play with good players and name players. So, in fact, the first time I heard Woody's band was, I was about 13 years old, and I guess I was 15 in 1970, no, I guess it was 13 in 1971. I first heard the band, and Tom Harrell was on the band, and it was a fabulous trumpet section. And that was at Orange Coast College, because they always brought the talent there, you know. And the reason I started working in Orange County and LA County, I started working with Bill Watrous' band, and the reason was that he came down to Orange Coast College and played with us, and heard me play, said he's forming a band, and about 9 months later I got the call. So it was a real good school in terms of exposure. Not a real great program in terms of learning, but as far as exposure goes, it was very good.
Well, as you pass through the professional, from the academic to the professional life learning experience, being on stand and on the road, what did you begin to absorb and learn about your instrument? You were up in the brass section, and what were the transitions for you?
The transition was very rough, because I didn't really go straight into being a working musician. When I was in college, I was working part-time also as a musician, and when I got out of college, I needed to be working full-time, and I could barely do that as a musician, and certainly not as a jazz musician. So I had to do a lot of odd jobs. I've done a lot of strange things. I've driven about every kind of truck you can imagine, and I've done all kinds of delivery gigs, and when I got called for this band, I was delivering flowers in the valley. And you know, the main thing that this band did for me is give me the first opportunity to be a jazz musician every night.
And this band, of course, is Woody Herman's band.
Oh yes, of course.
It gave you an opportunity, you said. Would you expand on that?
Well, up until that time, I always wanted to be playing jazz every night, but never had the chance to. And when I did, I really savored the opportunity. I really thought it was great. And I knew that I would probably end up having to go on the road if I really wanted to do that, because young guys today really have it tough, because if you don't have a name, then you can't do much in terms of jazz. And it's a kind of a catch-22. Unless you go out and hustle your name, and then you won't be able to do anything. But how are you going to hustle your name if you can't do anything, you know? So Woody's band is really the last opportunity to play real jazz, and modern and contemporary jazz as well as old. And that's what I like, is because I might have to go up and play a plunger solo on Greasy Sack Blues, which is great, because I get to play a different style. I get to play an older style, which I love doing. And a couple of times, a couple of years back, Woody called up World on a String, and we started playing it. We just did a head chart on it. We just figured out some things. So I started noodling behind him. We worked out an ending, and it became an arrangement. And 6 months later, Fedchock wrote an arrangement for it based on that. And those things just evolved, and Woody would just give me the space and just kind of keep it open for me, you know. So after kind of earning my stripes, so to speak, and just paying some dues for 6 or 8 months on the band, Woody started throwing me all kinds of things, you know. So now I'm in a very enviable position. I've been in a chair that probably most decent jazz players on trumpet across the country would love to be playing that chair, because there's a lot of space and a lot of opportunity to play. And that's very rare these days. Now Buddy's band is gone, and geez, after working with Woody, I could never have worked with Buddy anyway, you know, because of the difference in temperaments. You know, because Woody is terribly easy to work for. As he's always done, he gets the talent and lets them play, and that's Woody's skill. You know what I mean? That's what Woody does better than anybody else. He finds the talent and he lets them blow, and he also knows what setting they would sound best in. And so consequently, I've been featured in all kinds of different settings and really felt good. and felt that Woody was behind me and the cats in the band were behind me. And it's a very rare opportunity. If you go out with Joe Blow's orchestra, you're not going to be doing the quality of these gigs, and you're not going to be playing the quality of the music. And if you did, you wouldn't have the quality of the musicians behind you that makes you play your best even when you're playing in Podunk, Iowa for a dance or whatever. Because you always have to be up and you always have to play well on this band, and that's what's great about it.
As you look at your career under Woody Herman and you look at the literature, the music, the book, what would you have to say about that? You're sort of a enfant terrible in that chair. There are a lot of other people that have been in that chair before you. How about the book, the literature, the music, some of which you've created, some of which is really the tradition?
Well, I feel real good about the tradition because it's a high standard, very high standard from the very beginning. And the fact that we could live up to it with the present charts and some of the more recent arrangements, and that my name goes on the corner of that chart, that means a lot to me, that it's in the book. I mean, I've got parts in my book that's, got Connie's name up in the corner, or it'll say Tom, and it'll mean Tom Harrell, or whoever, and there are so many great players on it. There's probably, you could probably take Woody Herman's music and put it in a warehouse or two. There's so much actual paper involved, and Berklee School of Music has the library now, most of the library, and people are always coming up and say, well, gee, why don't you play this, why don't you play that, and we don't have it in the book, because you just can't carry all that stuff around, but I think the book is a great tradition, and that's one of the reasons that I think and hope that I play within the context of whatever the tune is, because I appreciate the Woody Herman tradition, and I've checked it out.
Ron Stout, just before we get you back on stand, you're in 100 words or less, or maybe 1,000 words or less, your view of Woody Herman and his contribution.
I don't know if anyone can really estimate that contribution, because it's going to be continuous, and even after Woody's gone, it's going to keep continuing. So I think at this point it'd be real tough to say, but already it's enormous. The contribution is really enormous. In every major city across the country, we have people coming in to hear the band that are ex-members of the band, and just great players everywhere, And to see the names of the people that have been on this band, Nat Adderley and Gene Ammons and all the people that you wouldn't think about normally, as opposed to the Zoot Sims and the Stan Getz. You'd be surprised the people that have been through this band, And about Woody personally, I would say that I've never known a more creative individual, a creative thinking individual, and progressive person. People come up and always say, well, gee, will you play Woodchopper's Ball and blah, blah. He said, well, I will for historic reasons only, and not for nostalgic reasons, because he's not one to delve into nostalgia at all. This is not a nostalgia band, and that's why probably when Woody Herman goes, I will go, because I don't know what the Ghost Band is going to be. The quality of the bookings is going to go down, probably, and I want to be a jazz musician, and I just think that it might possibly end up being more of a dance band after Woody's gone, because of all the great dance hits that he's had. I'm not taking that away from him, but I just think that once Woody's gone, I'm gone too, because to me, Woody is the personality of the band. With him being sick, I really miss him, and he's been so good to me personally that, I just can't say enough about the man. When I first got on the band, we had a few problems. We worked it out, and he's a very gracious man, a man of his stature. We had some conflict, and he came to me and apologized, and someone in his position and stature doesn't have to do that, and I gained a terrific amount of respect for him at that time. And I would think that you would hear basically the same thing from all his players. Everybody has loved Woody through the years. He's, Woody has, I'm fortunate, I understand, because I got on the band when Woody has mellowed quite a lot, but I've been spoiled by Woody. I couldn't work for anybody else.
Ron Stout, thank you for taking time on Intermission to talk about the Woody Herman Band and your career.
Thank you, Leigh.